right, good evening, everyone. It is 6 p.m. I hereby call the meeting to order. Let's proceed with our roll call. I'm going to ask if you're here, if you could state your name, starting from my right.
Jessica Ochoa, present.
Carlos Margo, present.
Alisa Peña, present.
Celso Gomez Jr. present.
Rosalba Hernandez, present.
Valeria Vega, present.
Great, everyone is here. We do have quorum. Next item on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance. If you're able to do so, I ask that you stand and please face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the next item on the agenda is agenda item number 4, which is our public comment section. Do we have anyone who has signed up for public comment tonight?
We do not have any public comment. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing that we have no one that has signed up for public comment, we'll go ahead and move on to agenda item number 5. This is the superintendent's updates and announcements. This will be done by Dr. Sorensen and Dr. Little. Dr. Sorensen?
Yes. So before we get started with our announcements of campus and district leadership, I would like to make this one announcement myself. So we have a new-ish member of the team. So I would like to introduce everybody in the room and to our community to Dr. Derek Little. He is the deputy superintendent. For La Jolla ISD. I am honored and I am proud to have Dr. Little as our deputy superintendent. For everyone in the room to know and understand, Dr. Little, by accepting this role, has not in any manner, shape, or form changed his interactions with academics, school leadership, student supports, any of the academic enrichment pieces of his position. He has now just accepted the opportunity and challenge of also supporting district operations with me and governance and other policy work that we are working on across the district. He is my shoulder-to-shoulder partner in this work. And so thank you so much, Dr. Little, for saying yes. And a little bit about Dr. Little. Derek Little is a lifelong educator with experiences at the school, the district, and the state level, having worked in Louisiana, Ohio, and Texas. He proudly comes from a family committed to public education. His mom retired from the local school system where Derek grew up, and his wife, Christy, is a fellow educator. Derek and Christy are humbled and proud to be adoptive parents of 2 little Texans. I think they're 7th grade now?
7th grade.
7th grade now. And have a combined family with his parents and his niece. Derek most recently served as the Chief of Academics and School Leadership for La Jolla ISD. Prior to this, Derek served as the Chief of Staff for the Cincinnati Public Schools, where he led the development of the district's strategic plan and academic recovery. He served previously as the Deputy Chief Academic Officer with Dallas ISD. In addition, Derek led the district's COVID recovery and acceleration efforts, including ESSER strategies and implementation. Prior to his time in Dallas ISD, Derek served as the assistant superintendent, for early learning in Dallas ISD as well. In that role, Derek led the district's efforts from birth to 3rd grade, including early literacy. Before joining Dallas ISD, Derek served as the Deputy Director of Early Childhood at the Louisiana Department of Education. Previously, Derek was the Director of Finance and Operations for the Louisiana School for Math, Science, and the Arts, and increased funding for the school at a time of budget cuts to education statewide that impacted the particular campus. Derek started his career teaching high school math, and he is here now to lead the work as my partner and as the district community liaison, which doesn't change my role in interactions with the community whatsoever. It elevates his role and his partnership with community and cements his commitment to La Jolla ISD, our campuses, our students, our families, our employees, And so employees, again, he is here to work with you. He is here to get in the foxhole with you, hear all the things. Just like you share with me, we're now going to have a partner in that work in Dr. Little. And so, Derek, thank you so much for accepting this challenge. I know that you're up to it. And board, thank you for allowing me to make this appointment.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sorensen. I really am humbled and honored by the opportunity. And to your point, this is an incredible community and district, and I'm really lucky to be a small part of it and look forward to the work that we have ahead. So thank you so much. Now, it's all your turn to go through that. We're really excited to announce some key leaders in our district, either new to their role or changing roles for this year. We'll start with Ms. Rebecca Guzman, who is newly named our Director of the College and Career Center, or CCC. Throughout nearly 3 decades, she has served the district as assistant principal, principal, and district level leader. Her career has been driven by one purpose: empowering students to reach their fullest potential while building strong instructional systems and cultivating cultures of excellence that inspire both students and educators. She has consistently led campuses through transformative growth by establishing clear instructional expectations, implementing systems of accountability, and empowering teachers through intentional coaching and professional development. Ms. Guzman believes that every student deserves access to rigorous, high-quality instruction, and every educator deserves the support needed to help students succeed. Every student who walks through the doors of CCC carries a unique story, possesses unlimited potential, and deserves the opportunity to build a future filled with hope, purpose, and possibility. She is committed to creating an environment where each student feels seen, valued, challenged, and empowered to redefine their futures. Ms. Guzman, we're so excited to have you lead CCC. Next up, we have Mr. Gerardo Navarro. He is now principal of Irene Garcia Middle School. He is proud to serve as principal, and throughout his career in education, he has served as a social studies teacher, special education chair, and assistant principal, working with both middle and high school students. Most recently, he was at Houston ISD, where he was part of a leadership team that helped improve a campus performance from a D rating to a B rating. Mr. Navarro chose education because it allows him to serve his community and help others reach their full potential. As a leader, he believes that strong relationships, collaboration, and continuous growth are the foundation of a successful school. His priorities are ensuring every student has access to a high-quality education, fostering and nurturing an environment where students feel supported, building a culture of connection and shared purpose among staff, and partnering closely with families as valued stakeholders in their children's education. Outside of school, Mr. Navarro enjoys barbecue, learning about artificial intelligence, and exploring community events with his family. He believes that success isn't given. It is built through opportunity, perseverance, and the belief that every person can grow. Thank you for taking on the challenge to lead Garcia.
Congratulations. Welcome back. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, incredibly excited to have a proud graduate of La Jolla ISD, Mr. Ciro Gonzalez, take on the Lobo community as the principal of Palmview High School. Yes. He has dedicated his career to serving students and families of the district that helped shape his own educational journey. He began his career in La Jolla as a computer proctor, serving in that role for 2 years before moving to the classroom as a biology teacher at Jimmy Carter. He also taught biology at Palmview, where he built strong relationships with students and staff and developed a deep connection to the campus community. Throughout his career, he has served in a variety of roles, including testing coordinator, dean of instruction, and most recently, principal at Cesar Chavez Middle School. As he returns to Palmview as principal, he brings a deep understanding of the campus, a passion for student achievement, and a lifelong commitment to the La Jolla community. His connection to Palmview extends beyond his professional career as well. He and his wife are the proud parents of 2 sons who graduated from Palmview High School, making this opportunity especially meaningful for their family. Grounded in a belief that every student deserves high-quality education and every educator deserves strong leadership, Mr. Gonzalez looks forward to partnering with students, staff, families, and the Palmview community to continue the campus's tradition of excellence. We're so excited to see you bring that campus to new heights.
Congratulations, Lobos.
Next up, we have Dr. Eva Flores joining us as the principal of Chapa Elementary School. She brings 16 years of experience in public education, serving students and families across both the elementary and secondary levels. Throughout her career, she has held a variety of leadership and instructional roles, including teacher, coach, dean of instruction, and instructional facilitator. Her experience includes a strong emphasis on supporting special populations, where she has worked to ensure equitable opportunities and high levels of success for every learner. Known for her energetic, collaborative, and student-centered leadership, Dr. Flores is passionate about building strong school cultures where relationships, high expectations, and instructional excellence work together to improve outcomes for all students. She believes that every child deserves exceptional teaching, every educator deserves meaningful support, and every school community thrives when united by a shared vision of success. She's committed to fostering a culture of continuous growth, and we are very delighted to have you join the La Jolla ISD community and Chapa Elementary. All right, next up, we have Ms. Cassandra Rodriguez, who is the newly named principal of Jimmy Carter Early College High School. She has more than 15 years of experience in public education, having served as an English teacher, assistant principal, dean of instruction, and now principal. Prior to joining La Jolla, she most recently served as dean of instruction at McAllen Memorial High School, where she was part of the team that helped lead initiatives to strengthen instructional practice, expand college and career readiness, and contributed to the campus earning its first ever A rating. Congratulations on that. Ms. Rodriguez is passionate about building meaningful relationships with students, staff, families, and the community. She believes every student deserves to be known, challenged, and supported in reaching their fullest potential. As principal, she is committed to fostering a culture of excellence where all students are prepared for success in college, career, and life. Welcome to Jimmy Carter.
Congratulations to you.
All right, a little bit of a different change here with Ms. Belinda Salazar, who we are welcoming as our new Executive Director of Budget and Fiscal Oversight. Ms. Salazar brings more than 28 years of dedicated experience in public school finance and operational leadership. She began her career at Laredo ISD, where she spent 9 years developing her expertise in school finance, advancing from accountant to senior accountant. She later joined United ISD, serving for 19 years as a budget manager. Throughout her career, she has been recognized for her strong fiscal stewardship, collaborative leadership style, and commitment to ensuring that financial decisions support student success. Originally from the RGV, Ms. Salazar grew up in San Benito. Returning to the Valley now to serve La Jolla ISD represents both a professional milestone and a personal homecoming. She believes firmly that education is the key to success and that every student can learn. We are so excited to have you join Chief Crespo and the business and finance team. Welcome. You are already going to see the fruits of this next person's labor in two of our presentations tonight, and we are very, very, very excited to have Ms. Deborah Harris now in this capacity as Executive Director of Research Assessment and Accountability. She has more than 18 years of experience in education, having dedicated her career to empowering students, teachers, and campus leaders to reach their full potential. Her journey began as a member of the Rio Grande Valley Teach for America Corps, and she has proudly served the students of the Valley ever since. Over the course of her career, Ms. Harris has served as a secondary math teacher, a math coach, a CCMR coordinator, and recently here in the district as coordinator of advanced academics. Known for her commitment to data-informed leadership, instructional excellence, and equity, Ms. Harris is passionate about helping campus leaders, teachers, and students turn data into meaningful action. She believes that when educators clearly understand their data, they are empowered to make the decisions that unlock every student's potential and advance our district's North Star goal. Thank you, Ms. Harris, for taking on this challenge. We are very excited to have you part of the team.
Thank you so much, Deborah.
You all may remember that we announced Ms. Jody Adair at the last meeting as our new Deputy Chief of Instructional Support and School Leadership, and that left a spot on our school leadership team, which Dr. Julie Carranza is now filling. She is a dedicated educational leader with more than 25 years of experience advancing student achievement, developing leaders, and improving school performance. Her career spans roles as a teacher, early literacy interventionist, school counselor, assistant principal, principal, and dean of instruction, where she has provided her experience leading instructional improvement and organizational change. As a campus principal, Dr. Carranza has led high-performing schools through strategic planning, data-driven decision-making, leadership development, and systems implementation that have resulted in sustained academic growth and CCMR outcomes. She is passionate about building the leadership capacity of principals and leadership teams through fostering collaborative cultures and ensuring every campus has the structures and support necessary to achieve excellence. She believes exceptional schools are built through ethical leadership, continuous improvement, and a relentless commitment to ensuring every student receives a high-quality education, which is exactly what we are committed to in La Jolla. Thank you so much for joining us. And a familiar face stepping into an expanded role in leadership responsibility is Ms. Nidia Ortiz, who is now our Senior Director of School Leadership. Ms. Ortiz is a proud product of La Jolla ISD, having attended La Jolla ISD schools and dedicating her entire professional career to serving the district that helped shape her. Her journey reflects the opportunities available within the district, progressing from student to paraprofessional, clerk, teacher, assistant principal, most recently executive director of school leadership, and now our senior executive director. With more than 25 years of experience, Ms. Ortiz has established a strong record of leadership and school improvement. During 7 years as principal here in the district, she successfully led a campus to an A rating, implementing systems that significantly improve student achievement and developed high-performing instructional teams focused on continuous improvement and excellence. She takes immense pride in serving the students, families, and staff of La Jolla ISD, and we can feel that pride in your passion and your service every day. Thank you, Nidia.
Congratulations.
Then joining Chief Pearson as our Deputy Chief of Operations and Infrastructure is Mr. Efrain Matamoros. He has more than 22 years of experience in public education. He has built a distinguished career dedicated to excellence in leadership, organizational effectiveness, and service to students, staff, and the community. Throughout his career, Mr. Matamoros has served in a variety of leadership roles, including math teacher, whoop whoop for the math people, special education teacher, assistant principal, executive director of district operations, and now as our deputy chief. His broad educational and operational background provides him with a unique perspective on aligning district operations with the instructional mission of the school system. He's committed to continuous professional growth and fostering a culture of accountability, collaboration, and innovation. And he believes that well-maintained facilities, reliable transportation, efficient maintenance and operation systems create the foundation for outstanding educational experiences. Outside of his professional responsibilities, Mr. Matamoros enjoys spending time with his family, playing chess, and watching and playing soccer. Thank you so much for jumping headfirst in over the past few weeks. We're so glad to have you in the district.
Congratulations. Welcome aboard. Thank you.
And next, we have Mr. Patrick Smith, who is our Deputy Chief of Human Capital, Strategic Initiatives, and Talent Development. And he brings 35 years of experience to the work, with more than 30 years in Texas public schools. Prior to his service in human capital, Mr. Smith has served as a middle school teacher, assistant principal, high school assistant principal, elementary principal, and curriculum coordinator. Most recently, he served as the executive director of employee standards and compliance with Fort Worth ISD. In addition to his work in Texas, he's been international, having taught at the American School of El Salvador and serving as the deputy head of the Tsinghua International School in Beijing, China. We are so excited to have Patrick here. He has also jumped headfirst in his first few weeks here. Thank you for coming to La Jolla and being part of our work.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm glad to be here. Nice to meet you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Dr. Sorensen, before we move on to 5.2, Student Code of Conduct, would you like to say anything regarding our new hires?
Absolutely. Thank you, Board President, for the opportunity. I have spent a lot of time already with each one of these incredible additions to our team. Last week, we were in our Leadership Academy with our new principals for 3 full days, and they did not blink an eye. Each and every one of them are so ready for the challenge and excited about what's ahead for them as they join the La Jolla ISD family. And as always, and I'm going to say this every time we bring on new leadership in the district, any position, executive director or above, has interviews with me. And they're not interviews. I say this all the time. They're not interviews, they're conversations. Because it's really important that we go beyond what a resume says. And it's really important that we go beyond just years of service or what position you had previously. What is incredibly important as you join our team is the person that you are and how you show up and how you feel about the work that we're going to do together in service of the community. I never, ever lie to folks. I tell them the work is hard. The work is going to be tough. There are challenges in front of us, and we are going to be successful because it is the right work for amazing students and families in a district that deserves nothing but excellence. And so for each and every one of you that has made it through that process, thank you very much for spending time with me, but also sharing a piece of your story, a piece of your heart, and also making the commitment to La Jolla ISD. We know that employees have choices and options about where it is that they want to go work. And so making sure that this is where you want to be and this is the kind of work that you want to do is not only important to me, but incredibly important to the board and very important to the community. And so thank you all so much for stepping up to the challenge. As you know, strategic priority number 1 is excellence in leadership. And so thank you so much for what you have already done in principals Thank you for what you're about to do. Thank you so much, Board President.
Thank you, Dr. Sorensen. Well said. To those that are joining us for the first time from out of the area, from out of Fort Worth or Laredo or wherever you're from, congratulations on joining not just only an elite group of professionals, but a great school district. I mean, you're going to find that you're going to work with folks that are very professional. You have the best students. And I tell Marcy, Marcy has selected the best cabinet members. I mean, we're so proud of you, Marcy, for what you've assembled, and you're only as good as your team. And so we're very grateful to you. So welcome. I did get warm handshakes from everyone who shook my hand, except one lady who was from San Benito, Miss Salazar. I could tell. I'm a Cardinal, Miss Salazar, so I could tell there was some rivalry there. Just kidding, just kidding. Just kidding. I'm just kidding with you. Welcome aboard, everyone. I think I speak on behalf of the board. We're very grateful that all of you have joined our elite team. Saying that, we'll move on to 5.2, which will be led by Ana Marie Candelario. This is our Student Code of Conduct 2026-2027. Ms. Candelario, it's all yours.
Thank you. Good evening, President Alvarez, board members, and Dr. Sorensen. Tonight, I'm bringing forward the alignment of athletics, fine arts, UIL, and the Student Code of Conduct, and with proposed changes to the Code of Conduct for 26-27. The title of this presentation, One Standard, Every Program. So students' expectations should not change regardless of the building they walk into or the uniform they put on. What you'll see tonight is alignment across the board of every handbook, every program, every spot check the district uses to hold our students and staff accountable. So let me begin with holding every student to the highest standard. Our code of conduct is not just a discipline document. This is the document that guides our staff and students in every instructional time, in every program, fine arts, athletics, to show what the district offers and what we should follow. We start with the highest standard of all. For every student is held to the highest expectation, regardless, with no exceptions. Clear expectations and accountability, the guide spells out, and what needs to be consistently enforced across the board, across all campuses and all programs. This is also about progressive discipline that is required and that we're all following the same steps consistently. We also have one standard for every program. That means across athletics, fine arts, any extracurricular activities, we have the same standard of excellence. So before we get into that, we really have to hold our standards and expectations of our students' behaviors across all campuses as well. And so I call this a tier core behavior expectations. And again, across all areas, our students are on time, ready to learn, fully engaged, and respectful. So I'd like to emphasize specifically that everything that follows tonight is tied to these core expectations that we need to see our students taught consistently across their campuses and programs. So if the standard is clear and what we expect across all campuses, why did this alignment need to happen? So to start with that, our fine arts and athletics and general populations were all following the code of conduct, but not in a parallel manner. So prior to this work, they were serving our same students, but maybe different expectations across the board. And so for this, in order to do that, we created an alignment across all handbooks. This allows clarity for participants. So for our students, one published path across the board in case any raise concerns. Clarity for our employees. Again, they understand the sequence and scope of discipline for participants if misconduct occurs. And a defensible practice. Again, clear language that is aligned to our student code of conduct and the disciplinary measures that allows employment decisions to be made as well. So with these unified student expectations, what did we align when we went through this process? We specifically looked at all handbooks, the athletic, fine arts, and a UIL handbook, the codes of conduct that are connected to these programs, specific spot checks when we go into our campuses that their coaches know what to expect, our fine arts directors know what to expect, and that we have a consistent rating criteria across the board. And then lastly, with our discipline policies, we also have progressive discipline in all areas. So our campuses know how to hold our students accountable, when to get families involved, and what procedures, like our grievance procedures, in case they have any concerns following those manner. So here is our core anchor, the Student Code of Conduct. This is where we're going to anchor in, and this is the document that is board adopted. All of the other program code of conducts are then layered into this, but this is the one that needs the approval. So aligned to this, all of our consequences and communication are aligned in our athletic code of conduct. Along with our fine arts code of conduct, this also matched the standards and structure with our athletic code of conduct and handbook as well. With our UIL rules and regulations, this is governed by their own rules and regulations. So how does this all work together? We're going to start with the scope, and then I'll share with you the sequence. With the Student Code of Conduct, this applies first, and then additionally, the athletic and fine code of fine arts and codes follow secondly. The Student Code of Conduct applies to all students across all academic, behavior, and safety expectations with progressive discipline with specific infractions, then followed by the Athletic and Fine Arts Code of Conduct. First, Student Code of Conduct, then followed by the consequences of these programs. This only applies to students participating in the program. It sets the highest standard of conduct, leadership, and citizenship both on and off the campus, and even during non-school activities and online. So now as we look at this, how does that sequence apply? First, the Code of Conduct applies. So it covers every student, discipline, ISS, OSS, DAEP, and expulsion is assigned first. Then follows the campus discipline. With that, the student serves the campus or district assigned consequence first. After that, the program consequence is then applied, and any program added is never in place of campus discipline. With one goal, we'd like to reinforce the highest standards of established are set for student athletes and extracurricular participants, and we need to ensure that program discipline never replaces campus discipline. So after reviewing all standards and all code of conducts, we really align both athletics and fine arts to the Student Code of Conduct. Instead of reading all of these, I want to really focus on the highest four priorities. One, the alignment is anchored to the board-adopted student conduct. The academic success is prioritized over extracurriculars. Parent communication is now built into every code of conduct and handbook. And then lastly, we follow the same clear family grievance path, which is our F&G local. Again, as a reminder to the board, the UIL is governed by their own rules and regulations. So now that I went through alignment, I would like to then propose the changes for the 26-27 Student Code of Conduct. So here with the Student Code of Conduct, we're specifically looking at progressive discipline in relation to changes with the law and specifically with the law. Currently, we have one modified and two new progressive discipline comparisons. In 25-26, for our personal electronic devices, HB 1481, first, this device was returned to a parent, in-school suspension at repeat offenses, and parent notified, and there was no required conference. In the 26-27 proposed, now that it is TEA aligned, parent conferences are added, fixed hold time language is removed, ISS ranges, and no personal device for the remainder of the year after the fourth infraction. For a new policy for tardy, there was no district policy in place, and it was handled campus by campus basis. With the new proposed, we now have a new district-wide 4-level tiered policy that I'll be sharing in the next slide. With the new student ID, we had no district policy, and moving into this year, we are proposing a new 4-level policy, plus a serious misuse clause for our student IDs. Again, the recommended changes are including only new discretionary progressive discipline practices. Other modifications of the Code of Conduct are a result of changes in the law or any necessary clarifications. So the updated progressive discipline measures for the first, for the personal electronic devices, It leads from a verbal warning to parent notification, as you can notice, to device compensation, to a 2-day ISS and code 21 referral. And then lastly, for the fourth would be a parent conference, 3-day ISS, potential DAEP, and barred electronic devices for the remainder of the year. For student ID, we are starting with a verbal warning and student conference, parent notification and campus consequence, followed by a parent conference, behavior contract, and in-school suspension. Lastly, again, parent conference, 2-day in-school suspension and loss of privilege. We do have that point for a temporary badge only and $10 replacement for ID badge. Again, you can see throughout these progressive disciplines that parent communication is key within all progressive discipline. For tardies, again, which is a new recommendation, teacher correction, local documentation, parent contact, student conference, and reflection forum. A third will be office referral and detention, restorative, and tardy contract for tardies between 5 and 7. And then 8 or more tardies, a student support team review, and a check-in, check-out in school and in-school suspension. So now that moves me to the recommended action steps. So what we are asking board is board approval for the adopt the amended code of conduct as presented. District-wide implementation to apply all unified standards across every campus and program for the 26-27 school year. And for family and staff communication to be published once consistent set expectations so that we can share with families if approved. So again, we're requesting board approval for the 26-27 student code of conduct. Any questions?
Members of the board, do you have any questions for Ms. Candelario? I have two. So one is, it's parent/guardian. So would a guardian count if they don't have a parent?
So a guardian would be anyone who has the rights to the
Okay.
child.
Okay,
Yes.
because I saw parent, but I was just wondering.
Parent/guardian.
Okay.
Yes, correct.
The other one was, who speaks to the individuals, the students? Like, is it the principal, a school counselor, and yourself when there's corrective action that's going to take place with the parents? Who's
Sure.
involved in those discussions?
So, great question. The one thing when we look at tiers and progressive consequence, we're also rolling out multi-tiered system of support. So there's tiers. So each tier has somebody that supports. So a first tier would be a teacher. A second tier would be a social worker or a counselor. Third tier could be the behavior, coordinator at the building or an administrator. When it gets higher level, and then they actually have to apply to the referral, it would be the administrator.
Okay, great. Thank you. Members of the board? Dr. Sorensen?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Anna Marie, very much, and the team for making these adjustments and modifications. Some of these modifications really came out of conversations that I had last spring with educators as I was working on the after the bell conversations across 20 campuses, especially a call for tighter enforcement around cell phones, and also a demand met from most educators around a standard tardy policy, because we did not have one. And so I really want to acknowledge that some of these shifts and recommendations are coming directly from staff, district administrators, and parents. So thank you so much for that feedback, community. We really need to hear it so that we can adjust to support you best. The second thing that I will say this briefly, is that I said also during my after the bell conversations that it is imperative that everybody understand that the implementation of these code of conduct levels is really incumbent on everyone. Because as a district and as a board, we create policy. We create codes of conduct that then support campuses. Campuses then have to implement with fidelity. So if we have a tardy policy and a campus chooses to not implement it for whatever reason, a policy is just a policy on a page. And so the campus has a responsibility to implement district policy. They have a responsibility to implement the policy as it is written, firmly, fairly, consistently, and without hesitation, because that is why the policy exists. And then third it takes every single adult in the building to enforce. We had many very robust conversations during my After the Bell around cell phones. And there was a demand that I, as the superintendent, enforce the cell phone policy. I was very candid back. Dr. Ibarra was present at some of these conversations where I said, I'm not here on a Tuesday during third period. They don't pull out a cell phone in front of me. So the second that the adults on the campus permit a particular behavior, the policy then is not enforced, invalid. And students do what students do. I love them. I mean, I'm a former high school principal. I'm a former high school teacher, right? They are designed to test limits and push us and see where they can bend. That's what kids are designed to do. It's our responsibility as the adults to make sure that students can operate and navigate within a system that have constraints. And so I would say to every single adult on the campus, it is now your responsibility, again, going back to the responsibility, because where does it lie? The enforcement and the implementation, not only with fidelity, but with integrity, which is why the spot check forms will exist, both in athletics and fine arts and with UIL across the board. And so it's going to take every single one of us to implement a tardy policy or a phone policy. All of that takes every single one of us. It is not just going to change student behavior because there is a policy. So thank you very much, Board President, for the latitude to speak on that. I want to just give a shout out across the room. Ms. Lozano, thank you for working on this with your team. I'm very grateful. Joe Pena, thank you so much. The athletic coordinators and I and Joe and the assistant director, we hammered this out. Saturdays, plural, to get it right. And Mr. Adame, thank you so much for leading this work with your fine arts directors to make sure that we are all moving in one direction. It was so important to have the voice and the buy-in, both of the coaches and the coordinators, and Ms. Lozano for doing this work with our campus leaders. So thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, Dr. Sorensen. And thank you, Ms. Candelario. Great presentation. Good job. All right, Dr. Little will be joining us again. This is item number 6, Lone Star Governance, 6.1 GPM, 4.1 College Ready, TCI Math and Reading, Associate Degrees, GPMs, 4.2 Career Ready, Industry-Based Certifications, IBC Completers, and GPM 4.3 Freshmen on Track. Dr. Little?
We'll make that shorter for you next time, President Alvarez. All right, let's celebrate. This presentation has lots of good news in it. So just as a reminder, this is our LSG update. We are updating on all of Goal 4, including the GPMs. It certainly brings us one step closer to our vision, our mission, and our North Star goal. Next month in our workshop, we're actually going to be talking to you about some of the goals and GPMs that we're having to reset targets for, and that applies to this entire presentation, and you'll understand that as we dig into it. Starting with this slide, we exceeded every target that we had set for this year with the work of our high schools, which is really incredible. So like a huge celebration and thank you to our high school leaders, our high school teams, our teachers, our support staff, our families for supporting that effort as well, and our students for doing the hard work required to achieve these outcomes. Ms. Flores and Ms. Harris were a big part of that work with other team members throughout the year as well. But just quick orientation to the slide here, you see all the green, every one of these, so Goal 4 with CCMR, they say met, we honestly exceeded these, but official terminology here is we met the target, and we did that all the way down with TSI, associate degrees, IBC completion, and Freshmen on Track. So we'll unpack that a bit more deeply as we go along. This is really what you just saw. We have CCMR at an incredibly high level at this point. So we're gonna see what that data looks like. Associate degree attainment was the highest ever in the district. And it's going to get a little higher because we're going to have some August graduates most likely. And so that number is going to tick up a little bit more. We also reached incredible success with industry-based certification completion this year. And Freshmen on Track is outpacing even what the research on Freshmen on Track shows for early implementation. So let's see where we are with a quick reminder. When we talk about CCMR, it's complicated because there's a lot of ways that students can show that they are college, career, and military ready. And so all of those are pathways that add up into this data and that our teams work with our high schools on to ensure that we're providing great opportunities and support for each type of student. So student can be college ready, they can be military ready or career ready. Any of those count for now. We'll talk at the workshop about how that's going to be changing in the next few years. So here's what the data looks like for this year. We improved 5 percentage points, so 95.6% of this year's graduating class met CCMR standard. That means that they are ready to do something after La Jolla ISD. You see that in the dark blue. There's improvement across the board here. This is also part of the investment that the board has made in our high schools over the last 2 years. You may remember that we have increased support staff allocations. We've created Freshmen on Track coaches, CCMR coaches. We've done work with our APs and principals connected to the past presentation. This year, our high schools will have a campus behavior coordinator as well. And so we've been pouring a lot of resources and investments into our high school to be able to contribute to outcomes just like this. All the celebration here is worthwhile. And we're going to push it even higher. Like these aren't numbers that we're settling on either. Like we're going to get as close to 100% as we can. And again, we'll come back with proposed new targets next month. When we get into the GPMs, we start with the TSI exam. Remember, we're looking for students to pass both reading and math. We had over 40% of students meet that measure in this year's senior class. A lot higher than what our target was, which was 34%. And this took really tedious student by student work day in and day out. Our high school principals really dug in this year. We created a new structure with them in the spring where we were meeting every week just to sort of pressure test where they were in their support for each individual student, their understanding of their data, their case management around what each student needed to meet these measures of success, and we see that showing up in a really big way. Juarez Lincoln in particular grew incredibly on TSI in these measures. So the principal said something, and I don't know if she's listening, but I'm about to shout her out. It's going to stick with me forever. The comment that she made in June when we were talking about this data. She said that we are turning non-believers into believers. Like Huskies absolutely can be the best in the district and they can compete with anybody, not just in La Jolla, but anywhere. And this is part of that journey. Principal Pena started that journey. You know, she's building on that and continuing, but we're seeing more and more data to show that that's true. We'll talk more about Garza and Seguin and their success and like what that means for future Huskies as well. But truly, we're getting closer to that vision when you see outcomes like this. And then with our associate degrees, again, our highest rate, over 14% of graduates earned an associate degree. You saw more students standing up this year at graduation than ever in all of the ceremonies. That's a really big success. We're excited about that and the work that those students have done across our settings. A reminder here why the campus graph looks a little different. Remember, we only have students eligible from La Jolla High School and Jimmy Carter officially for associate degrees writ large. La Jolla is really driven by the former La Jolla Early College as well. This will start to change as we continue to expand P-Tech programs. So Palmview and Juarez will start to have graduating classes soon. And then La Jolla's P-Tech officially launches next year. So 4 years from now, we can have the first graduating students from that P-Tech program. So we're looking to continue to expand opportunity here overall. And then on the CTE side with IBCs, we had almost 3/4 of students complete an IBC this year, which surpassed our goal of nearly 68%. I haven't pointed this out on the other slides, but just a reminder, that table at the top right always looks at our student groups as well. And on every one of these indicators, all student groups have moved in a similar way. So this achievement really is pervasive across the district. Very excited to come back to you in 2 to 3 months to really lay out what the future of CTE programming looks like in the district. You know that we've been spending really the last 4 months with a broad sector of partners, from higher education partners to business partners to community partners, really ensuring that we're setting our students up for the workforce that they're going to enter. And so we'll come back later this fall to really lay out what that means in terms of future CTE programs and pathways in the district as we stay fully committed to this work. And then finally, we have our Freshman on Track measure. It's always helpful to remind ourselves what that actually means. Again, this is based on research out of the University of Chicago. So we are looking at 3 things. We're making sure that a freshman ends freshman year with at least 6 course credits. So they gotta have credits under their belt. They cannot have failed more than 1 semester of a core class, and they can't be chronically absent. They've gotta attend more than 90% of the time. I'm excited to show you in a couple of slides that attendance curve has changed. When I was here last year, the biggest reason holding kids back from being on track was attendance. That's no longer the case. So overall outcomes, we surpassed 90% of freshmen on track. Now, this does include work that some of them need to do in June. Some of our freshmen need 11 months, not just 10 months, but that's still part of freshman year. So there is some summer benefit here. But this is well above our target for this year. And again, really getting close to what the University of Chicago research has shown can take 7 to 10 years in some cases to be able to achieve. And we see that growth across all of our high schools. This is also really reshaping what 10th, 11th, and 12th grade looks like. As these students continue to matriculate up, as the work of our CCMR coaches, counselors, and leadership teams are digging into more all 4 years, like this benefit just compounds over time. And then here's where we see what's contributing to students not being on track. So this is the data showing us that it's no longer attendance as the main factor. So 100% here is showing 100% of students who aren't on track. So again, that's about 9% of students across the district. The pink are those that are due to chronic absenteeism. Again, our high school chronic absenteeism is still way too high, and it is improving significantly. And we see that showing up here even with our freshmen, where at worst, we have 20% of freshmen off track for attendance. Last year, that could have been as high as 40 or 50% at some of our campuses. So this really brings us back to the core purpose of school. We got to get the academics right, and we got to provide the support. So we've got to help students be successful in their core classes. And that's really what the challenge is now showing based on this data. So we also wanted to do a different type of celebration with this presentation, because this just was announced a few days ago, actually. TEA, in addition to like state accountability ratings and STAR and EOC measures and all those things, puts out accountability measures for early college high schools. And so we are very excited to share that La Jolla High School, again, driven by the former early college there, and Jimmy Carter have earned distinction in every measure possible for an early college. So that's access, attainment, and achievement. And then overall, they are designated with distinction as early college high school. So La Jolla has the best possible opportunities in the early college space based on these measures for our students. This slide breaks that down even more for you. Again, it's green across the board, which means in each one of these measures, we have surpassed what the state requires for distinction status. So access is really thinking about which students have the opportunity to participate in these programs. And we know that we open that up via lottery to any student in the district. Attainment are outcomes that our students are actually getting. So these are things that they will carry with them for the rest of their life, including college credit. And then achievement is the success on state exams and looking at those CCMR outcomes. So congratulations, Jimmy Carter. Congratulations, La Jolla High School. Again, students, teachers, and staff who have earned this designation with distinction for early college. And so that leaves us a day and a half away from teachers coming for their sort of first full PD day officially of the 26-27 school year. Every teacher returns on Monday if they haven't already today at our ACE schools. So we're in it. We are definitely in it. And what that means for us in the high school space is building on these successes to get even clearer and tighter in the systems and ways of working that we have, ensuring that every team member on our campuses, every team member here in central office really knows what they have to do every day to contribute to improve student outcomes, and that we're monitoring and providing the support needed to improve that daily, weekly, and across the year. We have actually launched for all principals last week in our Leadership Academy a way that we're going to better see how the work is progressing week over week. We started this with our high school principals last spring as part of the targeted work we were doing with them. Clearly saw some benefits from that. That's something that we're expanding district-wide in that priority measures tracker. And then again, district-wide, but also at our high schools, is really focusing on coaching. You heard me talk about that last month when I talked about our data. We've already started some training and development with our principals and APs around on-the-spot coaching for teachers. And that's really trying to ensure that we're helping people make quick improvements in the moment so we don't lose time and we don't lose opportunity with students. And then we'll be back at your campus. We'll be doing observation and feedback as well with our principals and leadership teams to help us all improve. So again, congratulations and appreciation to the work that our high school teams did, the work that our team here in the room did to support them along the way, and ready to build on this even more and set more ambitious targets when we come back in a few weeks to discuss that.
This is great news, Dr. Little. Congratulations to you and your team. Yes, a round of applause. Before we continue, are there any questions for Dr. Little at this time?
I don't have a question, President, but it's just a comment.
Yes,
just
Dr. Margot.
referring back, Dr. Little, to your executive summary, and to see CCMR goals on track, associate degrees on track, IBCs on target, and freshmen on track. That says that's sustainable careers for these individuals. So I'm really proud to be on a board that oversees a district that is doing that for our students. So thank you for the efforts, and this is really encouraging to see this.
Thank you. Thank you for your partnership.
Any other remarks or questions for Dr. Little?
I have a question.
Yes, Dr. Hernandez.
For all of these, well, CCMR, and is there anything that kids do starting in middle school to start working towards all these attainments? I remember when I was in middle school, we could do like AP Spanish, things like that.
They certainly can. So AP pathways are one. Students in 8th grade can take the TSI exam. So we have students actually passing that before they even enter as 9th grade. That's one of the summer programs we actually focused on this summer. You can, depending upon your course sequencing, you can get ready faster for dual credit courses as well. Then we got on-ramp programs. We're exposing students to CTE pathways. That'll be a big focus for us with the new Career Academy Middle School. So yes, there are definitely things that students are either able to start earning or accelerate preparation for in the middle school.
Thank you.
Dr. Sorensen, do you have anything you'd like to add?
The only thing that I would add to what Dr. Little had to say is that we are learning as a district how to make an impact on children at this level across multiple metrics. And so I want to make a public comment about the Wednesday meetings with our high school principals. Those were really intense meetings, and they should be, because we're talking about students and we're talking about student outcomes. And so we also have a strategic priority around excellence in leadership that requires, not asks, but requires that our principals lead leadership teams that know what is going on with students, student by student, kid by kid, class by class, metric by metric. That is the way to move the needle on anything that it is that you're doing. Looking at it from 30,000 feet, you can admire a problem. You've got to get into every single child Did they pass the TSI? Are they struggling with the TSI? How many times did they take it? What classes are they in? Who are their teachers? Every single child. You don't move metrics by broad strokes. And so when we asked our principals to step into that room, we required them to know those things. And that muscle wasn't there at first. And that is actually okay. But over the year, in those meetings, we expected people to grow. And we expected people to not only grow themselves, but grow their teams. At our high schools, there were 5 assistant principals. So we expect assistant principals to know that level of information, counselors to know that level of information, attendance, support people at the campus, college, career, military readiness coaches at the campus, freshman success people at the campus. It's not enough to just say, oh, this group of kids. I want to know how Alyssa Pena is doing, because she deserves that level of intervention if needed. And so I really want to thank the principals for embracing that work and coming back to do it again, because it doesn't get easier. Because once you get a certain level of growth, there needs to be continued and accelerated growth. And then you also have to look at the areas where you didn't succeed and actually retool, retweak, and make changes in your behavior and your approach. And so I'm really excited to do that again with our high school principals. I'm also very excited to say we're going to start doing this with middle school principals. Middle school principals are going to have their Wednesday or Tuesday war rooms, where they're going to, because what happens in that space is we all learn how to do it together. You walk in with a certain skill set and you leave at the end of the year with another as a leader. And it's my responsibility as a superintendent to make sure that we're developing leaders to do that kind of work. It's not easy. It's not always fun. It's not light. But in many respects, I say this honestly, it shouldn't be. We are talking about the trajectories of children and the outcomes that they will not only create for themselves, but their families, as they do here in the Valley. And so Dr. Little and team, thank you for leading those Wednesdays. I now look forward to being with you on Tuesdays with our middle school principals, because that is how we will continue to make a difference for children.
Well said, Dr. Sorensen. Seeing that there's no other remarks or any comments for this agenda item, Dr. Little, let's move on to agenda item number 6.2, Superintendent and Constraints Update. Number 3, Cultural and Climate Survey Baseline Results. This will be done by you as well, Dr. Little.
Thank you, Mr. President. So this is a first look at results from our first Culture and Climate Survey aligned to the strategic plan. And so we're going to take a fairly deep dive into these spring survey results, reminding us that, yes, this is part of our Lone Star governance work. Culture and climate really underlay all of what we do in our classrooms and in our campuses, and it's a specific superintendent constraint. So Superintendent Constraint 3 talks about not allowing conditions that purposely compromise transparency and trust with the community. And we're going to get feedback from all members of the community through these surveys. So we're going to take our baseline look. I do want to emphasize that this is our baseline data because we don't have prior data. So we'll be able to track improvement over time from this point. So a few big things to just know on the front end. We had almost 14,000 people weigh in on this survey, from students to staff to teachers to parents. So we got a lot of voices and a lot of feedback here. Big picture is our families are generally quite happy with the district. You're going to see throughout a number of slides that they're the group that most often is really positive about where we are, where campuses are, where their leaders are. 90% of families think that their school is welcoming. The wording there is a little clunky, but that's what it's getting at, is that their school is a welcoming place, and 90% roughly are saying that staff are respectful to them. It's been a big focus of conversations over the last 2 years, starting with strategic planning town halls as we listened to families about what they really wanted and needed. The thing that we see, which is not abnormal, but certainly something that we want to address, is that like confidence and favorability goes down as students get older. So there's a lot of excitement and energy and enthusiasm at the elementary level that wanes at middle school, and it drops off even more at high school. That is a trend that we generally see in education in general, but certainly our commitment is making sure that we've got great relationships, great connection, and great support all along the way. We also see that school staff in general have really high ratings of their campus leaders. Not always the same view about central office, and we're going to unpack that a little bit as we go and talk about some things that means to us and work that we're doing in response. So this is just a deeper dive into those nearly 14,000 voices. 63% of our students responded to the survey. We certainly always want to get as many responses as possible, but that's a huge portion of our students. As a reminder to the board and the community, this is third graders and up. So we are not surveying pre-K, kinder, first and second graders. It starts at third grade. We had 3 schools have 100% of their students respond. So great job, Camarena, Escandon, and Perez. Of all staff, we had 68% response rate. So that's campuses and central office combined. Again, we had a number of schools achieve 100% staff response rate. And then with families, we had nearly 3,300 family responses to the survey. Most of those coming from the elementary level. So again, work for us to do to make sure that we're getting more voice in the secondary space. But nonetheless, 3,300 overall. And we had a number of elementary schools have more than 200 of their families respond to the survey. So here's an overview of what's included. Students, teacher staff, and families have related questions, but they don't always have the exact same questions because they're obviously having a different experience and we need to understand what that means uniquely to them. But topics may overlap. The other thing that was very important to us is that what the strategic plan ultimately calls for, that we're building in on the front end, which is direct alignment of this feedback to our work in our strategic plan. And in fact, there are 5 measures in the strategic plan that will come directly from these survey results, and I'll show you and remind you of what those are. We also want to be clear for the board and the community, if anybody wants to see the questions that we asked, they're all public and available. They're in the appendix of this presentation. We'll have some samples throughout the main deck, but I'm of course happy to go to any of those questions and folks can see what we asked each stakeholder group through the process. So before we dig into the data, just to frame how it works, most of these questions were a 5-answer choice. So you could go from not at all the way up to a tremendous amount. The wording may have been a little different, but when we're reporting the data to you or reporting a % favorable, we're looking at those top 2 responses. And that's not something La Jolla ISD made up with our survey partner with national standards. That's the way this works. So we are looking at whatever those top 2 answers are combined. The other thing that we need to keep in mind here is we can't really compare responses across these buckets. They don't always mean the same, so we really just look at the data within that bucket. All right. This slide's a little busy, but I want to call out a few things. Note the green. That's where we're comparing our % favorable to the national average on that result. So the survey that we're providing, we did some customization to better understand some La Jolla specific things. And there are places where we can compare our results to any other district across the country that was using the same survey instrument. And what this really says is that in general, people feel really safe in La Jolla ISD and they feel safe in our schools. So if you go down the columns, the first column is grades 3 to 5. We're in the 60th, 90th, 80th percentile of those favorable responses compared to the whole country. So again, like really high favorable rates overall. With school safety, our middle schoolers are in the 70th percentile. Our high schools, even though we didn't get as much response there, and generally, as I said, there's some drop off, it's still in the 60th percentile overall. So if you think about that in MAP, that's well above average when we talk about percentiles in those cases. This is how it breaks down in terms of participation. Again, we had almost 14,000 respondents. About 8,500 of those came from students. We also had, again, the roughly 3,300 from families. Teachers get a different form of the survey because we have some very teacher-specific questions. So that's how we pull out that number. Other school staff or any other support staff, non-teaching staff in the campus. The thing I also want to say at this point, the surveys are anonymous. We do not know what any individual said on the survey. We can only tell if they responded. And that's so we can send them reminders to say, hey, please respond to the survey. And you get those in the entire window if you haven't responded until it closes. But these are moments where we're asking for honesty, we're asking for candor, we're asking for real feedback. And we do want our community and our internal team members to know that there are anonymous results. So let's dig into some of the buckets. We'll start with overall averages. So this is across all questions that we asked. What was the average favorability? And again, we see families have really high favorability overall. 82% of families in general are responding favorably to any question that they were asked. That does drop to 42% for our secondary students. Again, some work that we have to do there. And then you see some of the sample questions over to the right. How well does your child's school keep you informed? That's a family question that they're responding to. Or when you're at school, how much do you feel like you belong? That's a student question that they are responding to. And how positive or negative is the mood at your school? That's a student question, and there's a form of that staff answer as well. But again, this is across all survey questions, all groups. We're showing you the averages overall. When we get to families in particular, there were 4 big categories that they were responding to. Range here, high 70%, so 78, up to high 80s and 87%. So barriers to engagement is actually looking at not having barriers to engagement. So it's all questions about what may keep you from being connected to or engaged in your school. And so we don't see a lot there. Like families feel like they generally have access to their campus and to their child's school. Again, you see some sample questions over there, how welcoming, how respectful, how much do school staff value your input? Those are just snippets of what's going in to these family results. We did mention already that changes based on level. So we have high favorability, 85% at the elementary level. That does drop to 55% at the high school level. All the work that we just talked about in the other presentation also has to connect to families. Every family has to know what each school is doing specifically for their student. They have to be a partner in that work, and they have to be kept informed. That has not always been our strong suit. That is part of what we are working through the role clarity work and through our continued support of high schools to improve in general. And so over time, we absolutely expect to see these rates go up. When we get to student level results, we see broken down by level. So the pink is grades 3 to 5 students. Again, elementary students generally much more favorable. The gray is the combination of 6 through 12. You see the different topics there. School climate is the one that really stands out to me as something that we've got to pay attention to in a very different way this year in our secondary campuses. The other thing, which is fascinating given the IBC rates that we just showed, is how many of our secondary students have had real conversations around career planning and what that looks like. That 30% rate is way too low. So as we beef up advising, as we think about new, expanded, or different pathways, we have a whole communication campaign that we've got to do around that with the community, but also intentionally with our students, because every student should have a connection in the district for somebody that's thinking about what comes next in the workforce with them. And then teachers, we have 3 different responses here. So we have teachers in the pink, school staff in the gray, and then district staff in the dark blue. We generally see higher results coming from district staff. Also remember that was the smallest portion of respondents. We had about 165 district staff respondents, many, many more teachers. The thing to note here, which is something that we anticipated because it's one of our initiatives in the strategic plan, is improving customer service internally in the district. So we see that pink level for teachers is really the lowest overall. That is one of our initiatives that we have sketched out for our strategic plan to make growth on. The other part is really getting to the same page on what customer service means. And that is both true from us at the central level to campuses and within campuses. We are doing some, I think, level setting work to help folks understand that customer service doesn't mean I'm going to do it for you. It means I'm going to help you be successful doing it. That's certainly true with instruction, but that's true in every role that we have in the district. We do expect excellence from everyone, and we're going to be there to support you along the way. At the end of the day, you still got to do the work and do what's being asked of you. So as we really lay out the future of what customer service looks like from a programming and support perspective, it will also be important for us to really align on what that looks and feels like for any particular role in the district. And then when it comes to school staff, again, we look at resources, climate, and school leadership. We generally see higher responses for school leadership overall from school staff and teachers. Resources a little less so. I'm going to editorialize here just a second. This, I think, is partly a communication challenge between us, principals, and teachers as well. You've heard us sort of mention in other presentations, our principals have access to resources. They have budgets, they've got people. We encourage and we support them in partnership with Chief Crespo and her team to make the most of those resources. What I'll say I have not done with my team as good of a job on is helping teachers to know that that's available at their campus. So if they feel like they need something, go have that conversation with your principal, because in most cases it can be provided at the campus. So I think part of what this data is showing us is there's an information gap on what's available, as well as some concerns about resource provision in general. On the instructional side, the thing I want to come back to the presentation in June is we are providing more instructional resources to teachers this year than we ever have. Like really tight quality instructional resources that they will be able to use in their classroom every day with students, from the lesson itself with clear slides to use in that first teach, to the assessment they will give to see if students mastered that content, to this year also including intervention materials that students will work with teachers on in small groups. So even before we got this data, that was part of what we were working on and thinking about. And then I mentioned there are measures in the strategic plan that relate directly to this survey and ultimately are measured by it. So we have 5. We have priority 3, 4, 1, and 5 represented here. So all but priority 2. And when we developed the strategic plan, we didn't have baseline data, remember that. So we set minimum targets. We said we at least want to get this data to 80% or higher for 4 of these, or 75% or higher for the last one. 2, family satisfaction and sense of connection are already at or above that 80% rate. So our challenge moving forward is keeping it there and improving it even more. For the other 3, we're not yet to that target. Again, we got 4 years in the strategic plan. A lot of intentional work will go behind this to reach those targets by 2029 for these measures. And then last piece here is a reminder that this is also part of the Principal Excellence Initiative. So this year, actually last school year, I got to get my thises and lasses straight here. Last school year, we rolled out the Principal Excellence Initiative, which was our comprehensive way to evaluate principals. And how families responded in this survey makes up 5% of that overall evaluation. And so we have a baseline that they have to reach. At least 75% of families at their campus have to respond favorably. Overall, as a district, we got 83% favorable response rate here. 24 of our campuses met that 75% threshold, so they become eligible to earn points for that part of their evaluation. The other campuses were below that 75%, so they don't get any points for that part of the evaluation. The other thing just to remember here is this is part of our operational section in PEI, and you can't earn points whether you get 75 or higher if you don't take care of your safety responsibilities. So you got to get your safety drills done on time. You got to pass intruder detection audits. Those are gatekeepers to the operational section of PEI. So with that, just to sort of summarize this as we wrap up here, we can see that families generally, again, are quite positive about what's happening in the district and their campuses in particular. They feel welcome and respected. We do see between teacher and student answers that there is a feeling of respect in general between teachers and students, and campus staff reporting favorably overall for campus leaders. Elementary students, we didn't sort of call this out on the slides, but we see this in the data. They really feel like people are pushing them to grow and to do better. We've obviously spent a lot of focus in elementaries with new HQIM over the past couple of years, more of that last year in the secondary space, but our elementary students are feeling that in a positive way, that they're being challenged and they're being supported. Places that we have to do better. That's secondary in general. We saw that in the data. That's specifically related to career advising and planning with students. We've got to ensure that we're being responsive and providing great customer service. We also have to make sure that we are messaging sort of what that looks and feels like and how people get responsive service from us in a deeper and better way. And then working with our families, our staff, and our schools to ensure that whether I'm an 11th grader or a first grader, me and my family feel the same connection, deep value, and support at the school. So we decrease that drop off as we go up. Every principal has access to this data. We're going to be working with them to dig into the data at their campus level. Again, they won't be able to see who said what, but they'll see trends by grade level. They'll see trends across students and families, and then work with them to really inform the actions that they take throughout the year to start to improve on this. And that brings us to what's next. So doing that campus by campus work, building out that advising and CTE support even more, working through the strategic plan around customer service and central office support, and continuing to invest in our middle and high schools, both instructionally, but also from a culture and climate standpoint. And then we'll do the survey again and see where we got better and what continues to need improvement. So happy to have been able to share these initial results, and obviously happy to take questions.
Members of the board, any question for Dr. Little?
I don't have a question. I just want to make a comment. Special thank you to everybody who took the survey. I think this is important for us to understand where we're at and where we need to be. So I continue to encourage the community to provide honest feedback so that we can continue to improve.
Great comment. Anyone else? Dr. Sorensen, before we
I think the
dismiss
only
it.
thing I would add, Board President, and again, thank you for allowing me to add commentary, is that we don't take the results for granted, and we also don't take them lightly. So, we dig in as a team and we say, where did we do well? Where do we need to continue to grow? But also there's a reflection point for us also around creating coherence and understanding around definitions. When we talk about support, right, and I'm just going to use that one as an example, I want to just be clear that that doesn't mean that you like what's happening. Because sometimes surveys can be an opinion about a commentary like, did I like the support that I get? Versus did you receive the support? Right? When we talk about resources, right? And I think Dr. Little makes a great point that our campuses really have to do a better job of really meeting the resource need of our educators, and also getting really clear about what are resources, because resources are a curriculum and our curricular materials that we then do as a district provide. And so for me, every single one of these data points is a both and. It's an opportunity for us to step back and say, where did we do a great job and where do we need to refine and continue to grow? And to Board Member Pena's point, how do we need to continue to improve? And it is also a point of reflection for us to step back and refine understanding of language and terms so that we all understand across the district. When we talk about supports, here's what we're talking about. When we talk about resources, here's what we're talking about. And again, then we also need to create spaces to say, yes, you may provide those resources and support, but not the ones that I feel like I need. And so how do we create a space to unpack what things mean, and also spaces for people to then give us independent commentary of what maybe the survey may or may not be asking. So thank you, Board President.
Yes. Dr. Little, I have a question. Maybe I missed it. How often are these surveys done?
Last school year, we did it once. We will at minimum do it once per year. We could do it as often as twice, like a fall and a spring, but at minimum, it will be every spring.
And the results from last year, did we make any improvements for those deficiencies that we experienced?
This was the first time we've
Oh, okay.
administered it, so we don't have
Okay.
comparative data yet.
Okay, great, thank you. Great presentation, and thank you for continuing to focus on customer service. So I'm glad you always use that term. All right, next item on the agenda will be 6.3, Lone Star Governance Time Use Tracker Report. This will be done by Mr. Celso Gomez. Mr. Gomez?
So welcome back, everyone. Going over Lone Star Governance Time Use Tracker Report for June 17, 2026. LSG is a continuous improvement model for governing teams, board, and superintendents who choose to focus intensely and unapologetically on only one primary objective, which is improving student outcomes. As we look at our June 17, 2026 time use tracker, we look at student outcome minutes, vision, and goals. We spent 48 minutes, 35 minutes of progress and accountability, 15 minutes on advocacy and engagement, a total of 98 total minutes, 2 minutes used for adult behavior minutes. We also spent 15 minutes on other topics, a total of 115 minutes. In the bottom, we see we had 7 Board of Managers in attendance. We went over 32 consent agenda items, and we had 100% approval. And we spent a little bit of time on 2 goal progress measures. In the middle of the section, we can see that we spend 86.96% total on student outcome and adult behavior minutes, which has 85.22% were used on focused on student outcome minutes, putting us at above our 50% goal. Any question?
Members of the board, any questions for Mr. Gomez?
No.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Gomez. Thank you again for keeping us on track. Next item on the agenda will be agenda item number 7, which is our consent agenda item. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve consent agenda.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Consent agenda items have been passed. Next item on the agenda is closed session. Closed meeting will be held for the purposes authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Sections 551.001, 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, 551.129, and 551.0821 concerning any and all purposes permitted by the act, including but not limited to the sections and purposes listed below. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now going into closed session, and it is 7:28 p.m. All right, we are back from closed session, and it is 9:24 PM. Item 10 on the agenda is action item 10.1, updates to the 2026-2027 La Jolla ISD compensation plan. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 10.1.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 10.2, approval of sound system purchase for La Jolla High School Band through Purchasing Cooperative. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 10.2.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 10.3, approval of the 2026-2027 Student Code of Conduct. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 10.3.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 10.4, approval of budget increase for staffing consulting services for Special Education Department, CSP number 2026-27. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 10.4.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 10.5, approval of professional development services for the Gifted and Talented Program for the 2026-2027 school year. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 10.6, approval of student assessment, progress monitoring, and professional learning services, CSP number 2027-04. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 10.7, approval of the interlocal agreement with South Texas College for Jimmy Carter, ESC 2026-2027.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask if I could recuse myself from voting as an employee of South Texas College. I'd like to recuse myself from voting from 10.7 down to 10.10.
Let the record state that Dr. Carlos Mago is recusing himself from agenda items 10.7 through 10.10. Okay,
Thank you.
let me go ahead and repeat again. 10.7, approval of the interlocal agreement with South Texas College for Jimmy Carter. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 10.7.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 10.8, approval of interlocal agreement with South Texas College for the La Jolla High School P-TECH 2026-2027. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 10.8.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 10.9, approval of the interlocal agreement with South Texas College for Palmview High School P-TECH 2026-2027. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 10.9.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 10.10, approval of interlocal agreement with South Texas College for Juarez Lincoln High School P-TECH 2026-2027. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve 10.10.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item 10.11, approval of an order of general election for the La Jolla Independent School District School Board to be held November 3rd, 2026. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 10.12, approval of contract extension for self-funded employee insurance benefit plans, CSP number 2025-71. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 10.12.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 10.13, approval of strategic plan implementation of leadership development services, CSP 2026-96. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 10.13.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 10.14, approval of contract extension for fuel services, CSP 2025-51. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 10.15, approval of produce products, SOQ 2026-71. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 10.15.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. 10.16, approval of electricity contract through purchasing cooperatives. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 10.17, approval of architectural services for the La Jolla ISD district-wide entry door access control improvement project, school safety grant. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 10.17.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 10.18, approval of the district-wide entry door access control improvements, CSP number 2026-86. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item is 10.19, approval of La Jolla ISD Sports Complex Baseball Field renovations quotation number 2026-816. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve item 10.19.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item 10.20, consider and take possible action concerning level 3 employee grievance appeal. Do I have a motion?
I move to uphold the level 2 decision and deny the appeal.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item is 10.21, consider and take possible action to delegate authority to hear employee grievances to board committee. Do I have a motion?
I move to delegate the board's authority to hear employee grievances to a board committee to be appointed in accordance with the administrative regulations prepared by the superintendent.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is our calendar. 11.1, July 31st, 2026, Professional Learning Day, and designated staff. 11.2, August 3rd and 10th, 2026, Preparation Days. 11.3, August 4th through the 7th, Professional Learning Days. 11.4, August 4th, 2026, Middle School Meet the Teacher, starting at 5:30. 11.5, August 5th, 2026, High School Meet the Teacher, 5:30. 11.6, August 6th, 2026, Elementary Meet the Teacher, 5:30. 11.7, August 7th, 2026, Back to School Bash, La Jolla ISD, Pack Stadium from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. 11.8, August 10th, 2026, first day of school, ACE campuses. 11.9, August 11th, 2026, first day of school. 11.10, August 26, 2026 is our next regular board meeting. Before we adjourn, Dr. Sorensen, do you have anything that you would like to add?
Thank you, Board President. I would like to let everyone know how excited we are that the 26-27 school year is here. We are here and we are excited. We're waiting for you. We can't wait to see you. It's going to be an incredible year. There's so much happening next week with all of our Meet the Teacher nights. And then on Friday with the La Jolla ISD Back to School Bash, lots of freebies, lots of things for the community to come out and celebrate. Food, rides, enjoyment. That's the way we do convocation here. Everything is free for the community. Everything is for our kids and everything is for our families. And so we cannot wait to see you next Friday out with us at the community. And then I'm going to say it in obviously a recorded message for everybody, but I just want to convey here that the first day of school is right around the corner. I cannot wait to see children. I cannot wait to see our educators back in their classrooms and doing exactly what they know how to do for our students. We ended 25-26 on some really high notes, and I am confident that we will continue to build on our successes. I will end with gratitude. Board, thank you so much for your support obviously for the 25-26 school year, but for everything that we're going to do together in the 26-27 school year. Continue driving to our North Star goal, 90% of our kids being in A and B campuses by 2030. We're going to do that. We're going to do that together. So I'm so excited to see everyone come out and see us, and I look forward to seeing you on your campuses.
Thank you, Dr. Sorensen. Any board members have anything to say before we adjourn?
I just want to echo the excitement Dr. Sorensen is portraying. I'm excited for another year, another football season, another Halloween holiday event here at the central office, and then end the year with all the recognitions and graduations. Last year was awesome, and I hope next coming year is even better.
Anyone else? Since I have two of our new employees here today, thank you and welcome to La Jolla ISD. You're going to see that you've probably made the best decision, and this is where you're going to retire at. So I was informed that Dr. Sorensen is going to take you to the best Mexican restaurants in the Valley. So you may not. So we really appreciate that. SB, I think we've seen you a lot on TV, and Blanca, you've done a really good job of marketing all the successes. As again, I think I've reiterated, and I think I've shared with the folks that we're not lying if we're telling the truth, right? I mean, it's not bragging if you're telling the truth, and we are. And so I appreciate that. And there are a lot of great things happening in La Jolla. Dr. Little, the presentation that you shared with us about everything being in the green or seeing more green, it's a great way to start the year. And Mergette, I keep hearing all the great things, the momentum, how pleased everyone is in the district regarding, the recent increases in salary. And people are really excited, not just in our school district, but in other school districts, even acknowledged by other school board members around the city, around the Valley. So we're very grateful. And I think as a board, we're very grateful to you. I think Vice President Peña and I were talking, like, we can't believe it's almost been 3 years. Like, we're taking off our training wheels and now we're really ready to go, right? And so we want to thank each and every one of you for your commitment to our district and for continuing to support our superintendent. With that said, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting at 9:36 p.m.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those denied? Nope, nobody's going to deny that, right? Okay, meeting is adjourned.